And while people are scrambling to get the COVID vaccine, sometimes waiting for hours in line, some doses are being tossed in the trash. KHOU Investigates found out in Texas, nearly 2,000 of the 3 million doses shipped never made it into someone's arm. Investigative reporter Cheryl Mercedes looks into why vaccines are being wasted.
Every dose of the COVID-19 vaccine is valuable and must be handled and stored with care. Yet some are thrown away before they ever make it to a patient. The State Department of Health Services keeps track of the number of doses shipped. Providers are required to report wasted doses to the state within 24 hours. KHOU 11 Investigates did an analysis of the state's data and found a small number, less than 1%, were wasted. That's 1,751 doses of the more than 3.1 million shipped. 40% were spoiled, 32% were labeled other, 20% were due to refrigerator too warm. Clínicas Mi Doctor on Broadway Street reported the most number of vaccines wasted. 230 doses tossed because the refrigerator was too warm. The state tells KHOU Investigates on January 2nd, Clínicas Mi Doctor experienced an equipment failure which resulted in the loss of 230 Moderna vaccine doses. The problem, they say, has been fixed. DSHS tells us they do not penalize providers who waste vaccines, but said in part, DSHS will reach out to providers that report a large number of doses as discarded to ensure that they remedy any situation that may have caused vaccine to be wasted, such as errors with improper refrigeration. A spokesperson for Clínicas Mi Doctor tells me the medical group is committed to the safe distribution of COVID-19 vaccines and that they are taking steps to ensure equipment is more closely monitored. Cheryl Mercedes, KHOU 11 Investigates.